In many cases, in order for a program to be useful, a user has to be able to interact with it in some way. So in today's video, I'd like to show you how to get user input and make it so that users can interact with your basic programs. So if we want to get input from the user, there are two different functions we can use. There's input and get. The first function we're going to use here is called input, and it's super simple. I'm going to create a simple little program here, you'll see in a sec. So here's where we're going to use our input function. So we just type, to use this function, we just type input. And then we need to store that input inside of a variable, and we're just going to use x because why not. And then we need to basically tell BASIC that we want to store text inside of that variable. And to do that, we're going to go x $sign. $sign tells we want to store text in the variable. If we want to get a number from the user and want to store a number that can have decimal places, we just can lab x, and then we can go x %sign if we want to store an integer variable, which basically has nothing behind the decimal place. But here we want to do text, so we're going to have the $sign. And then for 30, we're just going to print the name, and we also have to have the $sign every time we use the variable. So let's run this little program here. As you can see, it prompts us to enter your name, and then when we run the program, it gives us this little question mark at the basic interpreter / runtime environment. Just enter our name here, and it says hello BTM86, and this third line here is what we call a string, so we have multiple things together in this print statement. So that's basically what the input function does. It is actually quite simple and quite useful, but there's a second function we're going to be looking at, and that is the get function. So remember that program I kind of showed in the background at the beginning of this video where I can use the WASD keys to move the little dot around? Well, here's the code for that program, and as you can see, it uses our second function I want to talk about, the get function. So let me break this program down for you. First, we're using this clear screen character here to clear the screen. Then we're going to set a starting position with p, this is the p variable, representing the position of the little dot. And that just sets our starting with 1024 being the first character cell, 499, setting it to the center. And here's our get function here. And this basically allows us to scan the keyboard and register keyboard inputs. So we're gonna basically just, what this does, it checks the keyboard and sees what keys are being pressed, and then it stores it in a character variable known as I just called it I for input. And I use the $sign here. And then these 4 lines here are a bunch of if statements. So if it equals W, because the screen is divided into a grid, and there's 40 sort of columns, and so when it hits W, it moves up a row, we get S, it goes down a row, but the memory addresses as you go down the screen get higher, so we're going to add 40, which moves the ball down, and then we have A and D, which move it left and right, and we're just going to add one to the position, subtract one to move it left, and add one to our position to move it right. And then we just clear the screen, and then we put, this clears the screen if there's a dot from the previous time it cycled through this loop, and then we basically this poke thing goes to our position, and it puts the character for that little dot, like the little dot character, which is number 81, into that position in screen memory. And then it goes to 30. It says go to 30, which repeats the entire process all over again. I know this is kind of a rough explanation, but as you can see, it does flicker a little bit, and then we can use the WASD keys to move it around. So yeah, that's pretty neat. And anyway, that's just about it about getting user input in your basic programs. Hope you found this maybe a little educational and a bit useful. And yeah, thanks for watching, and maybe check out some of my other videos. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.